Apart from creating chaos, tens of thousands of premature deaths and shutting down large parts of the global economy, the coronavirus pandemic has shed some light on some home truths. One is the evil deceptions of the Chinese communist regime. The way Beijing silenced and intimidated the early medical whistleblowers in Wuhan, the way it denied the virus, ignored the repercussions and deceived the world about a threat that was coming its way was deplorable. And who do you think was right there at Beijing's side, helping with the deception, giving precisely the wrong message to the rest of the world? It was the World Health Organization, the United Nations health body that claims in its mission statement to be all about keeping the world safe. Seriously. The WHO boss, Tedros Adhanom, went to Beijing in late January, supposedly on a fact-finding mission, but for all the world it looked like he was bowing at the feet of Xi Jinping. And rather than warn the world or demand China do more, he only had praise for China.
And the other important element is the political commitment and your personal leadership, which we have been following, and also your team, which will help to stop this virus.
Now, this was a crucial time. This is when people were travelling freely between Wuhan and Italy, Wuhan and Iran, and other parts of the world. This is when the coronavirus was spreading globally. But when the WHO boss got back to headquarters, have a look at what he had to say.
The Chinese government is to be congratulated for the extraordinary measures it has taken to contain the outbreak, despite the severe social and economic impact those measures are having on the Chinese people. We would have seen many more cases outside China by now, and probably deaths, if it were not for the government's efforts and the progress they have made to protect their own people and the people of the world.
Yeah, all hail to Beijing, hey? Apparently the Chinese communists were doing us all a favour. Adhanom has been off the pace and off course all the way along. Remember, he suggested it was racist to ban travel from China or to call this a Chinese virus. And here he was in late January, after Australia had stopped flights from Wuhan, and while we and a number of other countries were about to ban travel from China, here was the WHO saying it would be wrong to restrict travel.
There is no reason for measures that unnecessarily interfere with international travel and trade.
Remember, as I said, the WHO claims its mission is to keep the world safe. Yet it was praising China, reassuring the world and actively campaigning against travel restrictions. No wonder the US president had this to say today.
WHO, that's the World Health Organization, receives vast amounts of money from the United States, and we pay for a majority, a biggest portion of their money. And they actually criticized and disagreed with my travel ban at the time I did it, and they were wrong. They've been wrong about a lot of things, and they had a lot of information early, and they didn't want to. They seem to be very China-centric.
China-centric, eh? Donald Trump points out that the US, as usual, is the largest donor to the WHO, donating about double what China does. And the president has had enough.
They call it wrong. They missed the call. They could have called it months earlier. They would have known. And they should have known. And they probably did know. So we'll be looking into that very carefully. And we're going to put a hold on money spent to the WHO. We're going to put a very powerful hold on it, and we're going to see. It's a great thing if it works, but when they call every shot wrong, that's no good.
Yeah, it's little more than a distraction in some ways now, because the US, like every other country, is having to deal with this crisis on its own. It's sovereign states, nation states, that are dealing with this crisis now, not so much with the assistance of multilateral bodies like the UN and its WHO, but in spite of them. Yep, that's a bit of light shed by this virus. people and countries battle crises around the world, so often not with the help of the UN, but in spite of mismanagement by the UN.